Hello, this is Dean Bostador back for another 5 Minute Fridays. Today we're going to be covering Azure MFA, how to configure that, different conditional access policies you can apply, and things of that nature. So the last 5 Minute Fridays we kind of covered Azure AD and what that is, and how to get in there, manage your users and groups, how it's different than on-prem. So Azure MFA bolts onto Azure AD. So when your users are authenticating against things that uses Azure AD as the identity manager, then they can get prompted for the MFA. So here in the console, you'll see there's under security, there's MFA server. This is going to be an on-premises server that you deploy in your environment that you can use for locking down on-premises applications or cloud applications, actually. It can tie in with Microsoft ADFS and some other technologies. But what we're going to be talking about today is the cloud version of Azure MFA. So there's a couple ways you can do that. One way is you can come up to your groups and you can click on multi-factor authentication, and it's going to take you into the MFA management console where you'll see a list of your users. You'll see if they have multi-factor already enabled or not. A lot of these test users or demo users are disabled. There's some that are enabled. This is kind of nice because you can filter and you can look at different types of administrator accounts. So maybe you only want to require MFA for some of your administrators or all of your administrators. I know in the secure store, that's one of the top ways to get a lot of numbers is to require MFA for your admins. So you can do that. You can go through and select a bunch and enable them kind of in bulk or however you want to do that. There's here's your bulk update tool there. So it's just as easy as clicking somebody and this one's already enabled. So I'll click this one and you click enable multi-factor. There it is. So what's going to happen there is you'll instruct your user to go to the portal, .office.com, log in. They're going to get prompted to set up their second form authentication device. They can also use the Authenticator app. There's a few gotchas where some of the apps that don't support Azure MFA, they'll require an app password. So there's instructions out there how to set up the app password and things like that. But yeah, this is where you basically go to enable that. Also, one of the best features I think is the conditional access. So here you can enable MFA based on some of these if statements. So in here you can make policies. You can create named locations. So you can set up subnets and say if they're trusted or untrusted. And basically start carving out areas where your users work or where they don't work, and then start basing policies on those. So let's just kind of run through one of these policies. The what if you have policies here, you can click what if and sort of run through a scenario. If it's this user using this app from this IP or this country on this device, what happens? So this is a cool tool that you can kind of see the effect of the policies that you're making. So let's run through one of these real quick here. So sort of your if statements are if it's certain users or groups. So you can come in here, and again, these are all Azure AD users and groups, not your on-prem, although you may have Azure AD Connect syncing to Azure AD from your on-premises. So you can go in here, you can say we want it for all users or certain users and groups based on certain roles. That's in preview, or none. I don't know why you'd ever make a policy and say none unless maybe you're just wanting to set up the other parts. You can say all users but exclude certain users. So you've got some flexibility here. The cloud apps, you can go through, you can say all cloud apps, but maybe you want to exclude something, maybe Exchange or something like that. There's a lot of these different apps that you can go through and do that. And then the other conditions are if there's a sign-in risk that is high, medium, low, no risk. those are kind of defined here. So under this documentation, TechNet, there's different risk events. So users with leaked credentials, sign-ins from anonymous IPs where maybe they're proxy, impossible travel to atypical locations, and some others here. So you can choose which of these you want it to your conditional based access rule to apply to. There's also platforms, so maybe you want to require for mobile devices, but not desktops, because maybe you know all your desktops are going to be secured in some other way, or things of that nature. The locations, this is where if you have your locations defined, you can say, if you're out of these locations, then you have to use MFA, or if you're in these locations, then you do. And then you can choose some apps here that maybe you want to apply it to specific apps. This is in preview. There's not a lot of apps that are under here right now, but those will be growing. And then device state, this is maybe does it have malware on it. If it's got malware, maybe don't let them log in. So these are the ifs, and then here's the then. So if this, then what do you want to do? Do you want to grant access but enable MFA, or maybe you have Intune and you want it to be a compliant device and not do MFA, but we're focused on MFA here. So here's where you could say, if this, then require MFA. And that's sort of the high level here. This session, I don't have any of these cloud app things configured on this demo tenant, but this is basically require MFA, and then also within certain apps you can lock down certain features of that. So so I hope this is helpful for you guys. Feel free to reach out if this is something you're interested in doing for your users, and CDH will be happy to help.